Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, the seekers and sojourners of truth. 144. And the chosen of the chosen few, you know who you are. I greet you in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am Akila Textry in the divine energy essence of it all. And as usual, I'm reporting to you live from 5D, the fifth dimension, where the energies are. It's speeding up, it's accelerating, like it's faster than we expect, right? So we're in the accelerated time right now. These are some really accelerated times, and as usual, I bring you the news to infuse if you so choose to. And I don't know about you, but I choose to infuse with the light as always, as I continuously am working on this light grid activation. It didn't go anywhere. A lot of us are working on the light grid and we may not even know it, but as long as you're doing your true soul work, you are tethering yourself to the light grid activation. You are being weaved into the very fabric of the light grid activation that is expanding and allowing the new consciousness to emerge. Those of us, what's that new consciousness, which is really not that new. It's all of us who are here, but we are tapping in, we're quantum leaping into the true timeline, and what's true is appearing to be new. So it's that true new, I call it a true new consciousness that is on the rise. So with that, inviting you into this topic is really us looking at how we're closing out the ReSpiriting season and dawning upon the rise of the spring equinox. So closing out the ReSpiriting and the rise of the equinox as we're coming into. So we're at the dawn of it right now. And for those who don't know about the ReSpiriting, feel free to look at one of my previous videos. I believe it was in December, and I may have another one in January elaborating on it some more. So this whole winter season has been a ReSpiriting season, and that's piggybacking or veggie backing off of December 25th, 21st, but it's celebrated being that the Christ Mass, or Christ More as I now call it, is where they got their Jesus story from. When the sun dies, the ancient Cometics know that story, when the sun dies on the 21st, and then it's said to have risen in 3 days. So that's where they got their Jesus story. But it's really about you, S-O-N, or the S-U-N, the raw sun in you, right? It all depends on how you look at it. You know, it can be labeled different things, but you get what I'm saying. It also refers to the solar plexus, the solar. That's your I am, your identity, your ego aspect, if you will. So the ReSpiriting, the practice of the ReSpiriting, is giving us an opportunity to, during the winter season, during the winter solstice specifically, to put a death to the misappropriated ego, right? Which would be the Seth aspect of us, right? To put a death to that, so that we can then work the process through the ReSpiriting, through the rebreathing, because spirit is the breath of a life. And ReSpirit is the first few letters in the word respiratory. So we are ReSpiriting, we are rebreathing, we are returning to spirit by putting down the egoic aspects, the ego attachments that we have, that we've picked up in the outer sensory of the world, and we've made it our own, and we've made it our identity. It's time to detach, and death to the ego. So death to some old concepts, even things that you thought were right, death to those concepts, so that you can ReSpirit. And in the ReSpiriting process, you are brought 3 gifts. You gain 3 gifts, and that's understanding, insight, and intuition, which brings a rise to your wisdom. And that's why it's said in that story that the wise men brought 3 gifts. Your wisdom, which is your wise man, brought the 3 gifts that allowed you to rise in that wisdom. What is that wisdom? That Christ mind consciousness. That is the birth of that Christ consciousness. So this is what we were working on throughout the winter season, and I broke it up into about 3 months to get your opportunity to get 3 gifts. So the first month, we were also using it to transition. For those of us who know, we're transitioning into the true new year, which is spring. This is what we're dawning upon, the new year. So this winter season was to prepare us. We were to be in a spirit of preparation to prepare us to spring forward with our gifts, with our wise self. So these, what I call the transitional months, gave us a chance to transition into the new year. So for those who were on our timeline, those like myself, we were still in 2023, which again is not the real year either. 2024 or 2023. Remember, they have, through the Gregorian calendar, they have, you know, bumped up time 8 years, you know, to throw us all off by 8 years. This is why we have to work to get out of that infinite loop, so to speak, right? There's a divine infinite loop of time. That's divine timing, but there's mankind pretending to be divine, imitating the divine, mimicking the divine, and creating their own construct of time. And in doing so, they have thrown us off by 8 years, and 8 is an infinite loop. So they have purposely driven to lock us into this loop. So we have to do some things now to come out of that loop. For those of us who are I don't want to say waking up, but waking up and coming into the truth of what is and what's happening now. Those of us who know that, okay, winter is not the new year. We know that spring is the new year. So what are we going to do about it? So there has to be some practical activity. So the ReSpiriting was one of the practical applications that I was shown through the Book of Life Within, through the Spirit Within, and I've shared it with you all. So feel free to check that out. So with that said, the 3 months that we worked on with the 3 gifts were December, January, and February, leading into March. Also known as, that's if you go by the months. If you go by the month being the cycle, the house, or the sign, it's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Those are the last 3 of the astrological year, the last 3 cycles, or what people may call months. So the first one out of the 3, you were dealing with gaining an understanding, which is all matters of the heart, right? And then the second month, we were working on the insight, the understanding leading to the insight. And then the third month, we were working on gaining our gift of intuition, because once you have that clarity and that insight, the intuition is free to flow, bringing you all the instructions that you need to know. And now you have full access, or more access to the wisdom of your soul, allowing the wise ego to flourish and be, to help you to make the decisions that we need to make to elevate us, to ascend in our soul, and to get us off of the destructive path that we have been on. We're going to need the strength of that wise ego, but we have to be strong enough to be willing to release the old ego, right? So this is what we've been working on with this death to the ego, giving us an opportunity to rise in that wisdom. That is all the ReSpiriting that we've been working on, which also, by the way, during this winter, we've been in a heart chakra season. So it really goes hand in hand with the matters of the heart, as I said, and what needs to be done in the heart. And it really helps us with the upcoming ecliptic energy. Well, we're in the ecliptic energy now. We're in the windows of that, and the eclipse is coming up. And I'm going to do a video speaking more about that later, with the eclipse and what it's really saying as it relates to our hearts. So what we're doing now, what we have been doing in the ReSpiriting season, is helping to catapult us. It's helping to help us quantum leap forward into what is new and true for us in this new year. How are you going to ring in the true new year of spring, this equinox that is saying, here we go, forward momentum, right? And so what I got from that, a message that I got, was really like, unbreak the heart, because this is matters of the heart as we're in the heart chakra season, coming out of it. Of course, the next season, as we go into spring, the next season is going to be the throat chakra season. And that's something I will go into later. I may do a video specifically speaking about these seasons so we have a better understanding. But what's happening that I got from that is that as we are coming out of this ReSpiriting winter season, right, which happened to align with the heart chakra season this year, because it's different for different years. We're wrapping up some matters of the heart as we are being called to make some tough and important life-changing decisions. This is a very pivotal time, as we are also approaching an eclipse, as I just mentioned, that seems to echo a total eclipse of the heart. That seems to be the echo, and we'll talk more about that in the upcoming video, which means that you know, with intentional purpose of the soul work, it pretty much shows with what we're doing with that intentional purpose of the soul work, that there are some malconcepts and things that we need to get rid of, that those are the eclipse that we need to have. But I'm going to talk more about that during the eclipse season, or leading up to it, so that we know what we're looking at. What are we talking about about this eclipse of the heart? But I want to speak now more on matters of the heart, is what I want us to understand. So how you've worked out these matters of the heart. Have you activated your heart, which in the heart chakra is about being unbothered, anahata, and I spoke about that. And it's unbothered, meaning not that things won't happen to you, and not that you'll be, what's the word, in denial and ignore, but it's allowing things to happen to you, yet being unbothered, meaning you're not shaken and you're not moved by it. You may have some kind of response, but you have such a balance with yourself and within your soul that you're elevated in your heart and you're unbothered. You allow yourself to be broken ultimately, so that your heart can be broken open. This is why we need to get the understanding and the insight and the intuition that helps us to see what it is that we need to change. We have to have a change of heart. Remember, the heart is the oomph of the soul, right? The heart, the feelings, and all of that is the heart of the soul, the subconscious mind. There you go. Thank you, Spirit. The heart is the subconscious mind of the soul, right? The mind, the brain as we know it, the logic is the conscious phase of our soul. So that is the harmony, that is the balance that we want to have, right? And we need the feelings. What I was being shown is that we really need to get into our feelings, and the heart represents the feelings. We need to be in a place where, and I don't like to tell us what we need to do, but it is time for us. I invite us to be in a place where we are allowing our hearts to be brought up to the surface, because remember, the heart is subconscious, sub is under. So we want to bring up these matters of the heart, these unprocessed feelings, these hurts, these I can say unprocessed feelings. There's another word that I'm looking for, but unprocessed feelings, and unattached, or we are attached to it. So we want to detach. That's why we want to detach, remove it from the ego's attachment. The ego, especially the misappropriated ego, is attached to these offenses, these unprocessed feelings that are sitting there, and we think we got over it, and we haven't. And this is what is going to determine our spring forward. This spring is very important, especially to those who know for sure that they are ringing in the new year. They know that they're moving off of that old way of doing things, and for this true new collective consciousness that is emerging, what I would call more of the 5D consciousness. More of us are aligning and transcending into the 5D consciousness, which means we're just expanding our 3D to 4D to 5D consciousness. And expanding it means you're getting out of the shadows of the 3D. You're doing the work that you need to do. You're doing the true ReSpiriting to get rid of and dump those. There has to be a lot of releasing. During this ReSpiriting season, we should have come to a place where there was a lot of releasing and a lot of letting go, in order to help us move forward. Because how are we going to attain more? You know, spring is coming, and we want to go into the things that we aspire, the things that we're talking about naturally. Just like nature, we're being called into doing something new or true onto ourselves. But to whom much is giving, not but, and to whom much is given, much is always required. So we have a responsibility of releasing and letting go in this ReSpiriting, so that we can have the rise of this spring equinox. This is the ultimate rise. So in December, there were 3 days and of us rising in that wisdom, and then we worked it out for those 3 months, only to come to spring and be like, here is a true resurrection. That's why they start talking about Easter and all that. No, this is a resurrection for you. This is after you've done this work. You've worked through this whole winter season. You're now springing forward in the new year with a true new concept, with a true new consciousness, which means you needed to dump some things. If you notice, this is why around this time of the year, The Muslims are having Ramadan, and it might not be intentional. They may know nothing about what I'm talking about. It may not be intentional, but nothing is a coincidence. Notice how around this time there's Ramadan. This is a time where people are practicing their fasting. In the Christian world, they start doing Lent. They start doing their Lent season of letting go of, because they're leading up to like Ash Wednesday and things like that, and they start practicing fasting. So if you notice, they start practicing and getting into this like around this time, around March or the end of February. So they're aligning with this getting rid of. I mean, to me, they're jumping on a little bit, you know, kind of at the tail end of the winter season. Never too late, but at the tail end of it, to hurry up and be ready for the resurrection. Again, the rising of the sun, the rising of the sunlight, S-O-N or S-U-N, that is in you. This is what the equinox is about. And this equinox is really bringing a lot, because there's some stuff that we had gone through within this respiriting season, including the Maherta frequencies, including the Pluto transition into Aquarius on the 20th. There were some shifts, some great shifts that were made that called some of us up. And a lot of us are going to be seeing, depending on how we process things, a lot of us are going to be seeing that we're coming to the end of a tough cycle. A lot of us are going to be seeing the way out, but knowing with all maturity that we have to get rid of some things. We have to release in order to get to that spring fling. We want to fling into spring, but in order to get there, and I'm not talking about that fling, I'm talking about springing forward into the fling and the swing of things, of spirit divine, and entering and tasting the air of the fifth dimension atmosphere. Those of you who are in it already, you know how good it feels. And some of us might have strayed, and we're being recalled to our stations as light warriors to tap into that, to realign with your 5D atmosphere. We're still building the 5D, right? So know this, right? The way in which we have practiced the respiriting during the winter or heart chakra season, it determines how we will embrace the energetic exchanges as we enter into the true new year, into the spring or the heart chakra season. So how you got through that, how you got through your respiriting, how you did it, because to each his own, everyone's different. We have to know ourselves. But how you got through it determines how you have made the switch with the matters of your heart. Have you changed over? Have you released some things? Have you let go some old concepts that you might have thought were righteous? Because those are the ones that we got to let go, right? The level of integrity in the heart will lead our true expressions in the throat, which is the next season we're entering into. And this also, which defines how we spring forward with our new ideas and aspirations for a better life. Right? It is all of this is it's according to our measure rather than the interest of our pleasure. I want us to hold on to that. Know that everything that we do is according to our measure, not the interest of our pleasure. That means it's not about what you want. It's not about what you say you want. Not that you can't have it, but it depends in what degree, in what means that you're going about having it. It depends on your thoughts, the integrity of your soul. Why do you need this? Is this for you? Is it for your soul unfoldment? And it's really about your measurement, how you have worked things out. How did you work this respiriting season? That is the measurement of your cup. And it's going to be according to your measurement. Your true heart vibrations, as I always say, determines your measurement. So what is in your true heart vibrations? Known and unknown to you, especially unknown. And this is why we have to do the work to get into the unknown, because it's not just about what you know that your interest is. Oh, this is my interest of pleasure because this is what I want, in whatever way that means for you. But the spirit, the energies are saying, hey, it's according to your measure, not the interest of your pleasure. So you could want it all you want. Ask yourself, what have you been doing? Right? What have I been doing for this in this respiriting season? How have I been re-breathing? How was my respiratory? Have you been checking your heart? Have you been checking your lungs? Your heart and your lungs is your heart chakra. They work hand in hand. The heart works to pump the oxygen, all over, to pump the oxygen in your blood. to get the oxygen to go get there and pump the blood all over your body to carry the oxygen there. Like I had to tell someone earlier, like it's not, the lungs are not just for you to breathe in air. Yes, we take it in. We take the air in through the trachea, technically, biologically, but it's not just for you to breathe in air. Those lungs work hand in hand with the heart. The air comes in and it in the middle of the heart pumping. For those of us who know how the heart pumps, it's not after the heart, the blood goes through the heart, in the middle of the heart pumping, halfway through. That means the blood comes in through the right side of your heart first, and then it exits out into the lungs to collect that oxygen, bringing it back into the left side of the heart to then carry it all over you. Right? Ding! See, I ain't lying. I want us to think about that. That is the process of the oxygen recycling, the ReSpiriting, the breath of life. Spirit as the breath of life as it comes in. That blood has to go and transfer over into the heart to collect the breath of life and bring it in. And the heart is responsible for recycling it in with every breath. With every breath you take, you are revitalizing that blood with new oxygen. And that's how we have to look at ReSpiriting on a bigger scale. Like it's happening really fast, very minute with our breathing and our heart. But expand that out a little bit and think about how when we practice ReSpiriting, in turn, that is what we're doing. We're taking old blood that is deoxygenated. I don't know if I said that right, but old blood that is oxygen deprived and in need of oxygen. We're taking that in and we're releasing it. It can't help us no more. So we have to, it's like we got to drop it off in the heart. Take that blood and drop it off in the lungs. I mean, like, here you go, lungs. Boom, do what you got to do. We ReSpirit, the breath gets to that blood and we can bring it back in into the left side. The left represents receptivity, the feminine. That's another thing I wanted to mention. Thank you, Spirit. The feminine energy, and I'm going to go more into that. The feminine energy is receptivity. The heart is feminine energy. The subconscious is feminine energy. So in this ReSpiriting, we are revitalizing, we are honoring, we're tuning in to this feminine energy. The matters of the heart is saying, listen to the feminine energy, be receptive. We need to be in a receptive mode, and we need to honor that so that we can, bring it forward, right? It's really important. Put that woman first is what I'm hearing. What I even got in a download was literally all that came out of my mouth was put the woman first. And it don't just mean like a physical woman, meaning us. It's talking to all of us, whether you're male or female. It's asking you to put that feminine energy first. Get in the understanding, get in your feeling, go and dig deep for that feeling to find out why that feeling is feeling what it's feeling. Because as the man thinketh, so is he. But as a female feeleth, so is she. And I'm talking to, again, both male and female. The man just represents the thinking aspect of you, the conscious phase of mind. And the female represents the feminine, the feeling. So we got to pay attention to our feeling so that we can know what is turning over as we come into spring, as we spring forward. Believe me, the more you honor your feminine energy, the more you honor the feelings and the heart, the more you abide by the heart, abide within the heart, and adhere to the instructions of the heart, because intuition is a feminine energy. The more we do that, this is all feminine energy when you think about it. The 3 gifts are all feminine energy. Understanding, that's feminine. Insight, feminine, because insight is the third eye. It's the inner seeing, it's the inner sensory. And intuition, feminine. The gift is knowing that we have the gift within us. It's adhering to the feminine energy in all aspects and respect so that we can know what to do, right? We must be willing to break the heart open. This is the message I got out of Unbreak My Heart. And we hear that, we're like, I know we hear, think of Tony Braxton, unbreak my heart. That's exactly how I heard it, right? So we must be willing to break the heart open in order to unbreak the heart. I know that may sound weird. I know that may sound crazy. Stick with me. Because a broken heart seeks revenge. Just as a as unprocessed feeling seeks avenge. It seeks to avenge. When we have unprocessed feelings, we're not trying to hear nothing. It's hard for us to humble ourselves because we're just seeking to avenge our feelings. We want justice and things like that. Even if we're not trying to harm anyone, but we want justice, or we seek to, we want to be a certain way because we want to make sure this never happens again, and that only holds us up. We're holding on to these unprocessed feelings. So we really want to be unbroken. This is what it's going to take for us to spring forward into this equinox. All right, so we want to not seek this revenge or avenge, but that's what happens when we have a broken heart, aka unprocessed feelings. So ones must be willing and ready. Us must be the ones of the ones, the chosen of the chosen of the chosen few, must be willing and ready to break their hearts open from the hold they have on the unprocessed feelings in order to unbreak the heart from its hurt feelings, right? Which holds the soul in bondage to its pain and suffering. At this point, and truly dealing with matters of the heart, we are essentially choosing to either rest in hell, which is to die, or rise in heaven, which is to live. Right? There is no heaven or hell location. It's heaven and hell right here on earth. So with how we choose to deal with this, this is why I say it's always choice. Choose to infuse with that light. And by the choices that you make on being willing to let go of the bondage, if we work these unprocessed feelings, we're letting go of our bondage to the pain and suffering. We are in turn holding ourselves in hell. So if we don't work through it, especially before the upcoming eclipse, and I'm going to talk about that in the eclipse video, we're really on a time scale. Like I always like to remind us, you could do anything you want in the infinite of time, but know the cosmic design. Know how it cycles through. Know how you will have to recycle through according to your level of the way you choose to work. If you choose to work at level 3, you're going to be at level 3. If you choose to work at level 1, you're going to be at level 1. It's your level. You choose your level. You choose your devil, right? Or you could choose your angel, however you want to look at it. But this is really important, and it's a pivotal moment that we are in fact choosing right now to either rest. It's like, okay, I'm just going to rest in hell. And essentially it's like soul stagnation is what I call death. To me, that's a true death. You could be living, but you're like a zombie. You're like the Walking Dead, right? Or you can rise in heaven, and that is truly living, even in the midst of all your adversities. Matter of fact, if you're having adversities, if you're having adversities, it's there to help you have the opportunity to see the growth that is needed. It's for you to have the opportunity to see the matters of the heart, to place it on the table. So do your best not to turn away from it, not to bury it, not to be in denial of it, but to truly ask ourselves, what is this to thee? What is this to me? Take a deep breath, respirit the soul, and allow yourself, allow us all to choose how we are moving through during this closing of the respiriting and the rising of the spring equinox. Allow this spring equinox. This is when everything is equal, right? Equal all around the globe. The light of day is equal to us all. It's not a solstice where it's tipped one way or the other. It's equal whether it's your springtime or in the southern hemisphere. It may be fall, but it's equal light available to us all. And most importantly, for those who are in the spring, it's Happy New Year. We springing forward. So what we gonna do? With that said, I invite us all to revisit the ReSpiriting. If you've never heard about it, again, I ask you to check out one of the videos that I done on it. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share if you dare. To share your love and light and truth, because the more we share it, or even comment, drop an emoji, something to help it get to who it needs to get to. For those of us who are seeking like minds or looking, for our soul tribes, our connections. This is all about social interconnectivity, and we are on the rise. The 5D is on the rise, and the 5th density light is really pouring in, and it's accelerating. So some of us are seeing things at an accelerated pace, but buckle up, because it's a beautiful ride. It could be, you know, hell or heaven, however you want to make it. And as I choose to infuse with the light, it's going to be heaven for me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to rise in my heaven. That's going to be my RIH. Right? So with that said, love you all. Each one, reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start, start in your big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside out and be the candle that lights the next one and the next one and the next one. Rise in your spring equinox. Peace, love, and light.